Welcome back. We are now at part 4 of this week's new comics, bitches! So let's get right to it. Okay, so Batwoman number 3. If for no other reason, this book gets pretty much the merit of 4 stars anytime it comes out, as long as J.H. Williams is doing the art. This man constructs his pages like nobody else I've ever seen in my life. The artwork is just, it's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. It's compelling, it's emotional. It's like he really knows how to, he could tell a whole story just by drawing it. And that's, if you took all of the, if you took all the dialogue here that he and W. Hayden Blackman wrote, you would still have a complete comic book. Kate, Kate Kane. The thing I like about, this is a really strong character retcon for this universe, because not only did they not make her a a female, basically, what they tried to do in the 50s when they first created her. They didn't try to make her, a female counterpart to Batman and a love interest for Batman. They actually said, okay, from the beginning, Batwoman, this incarnation of Batwoman, not only is she not going to be a love interest for Batman, she's not going to be a love interest for any man, because she's going to be a lesbian. Even though, quote unquote, the lipstick lesbian thing. Kate she's a great, what they've established so far with J.H. Williams, and of course what Greg Rucka did before with her character, establishing her as, ultimately kind of a tragic figure in and of herself. And, that she's a soldier, she was outed because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and she's gone through a lot of pain in her life. Her mother died. Ultimately, she lost her sister to madness and death in the Elegy story arc that took place right before the renumbering. But at least this has a through line. At least this actually continued over from the previous. Pretty much all the Bat family stories did, though. But the writing, everything else works delightfully well. It's like it's like her, and being that tragic character, that kind of goth, the pale, and the tattoos, and the whole, that look works for her, because there is tragedy in her life, and she has a persona that this feels like who she is. She could easily strip all that stuff away and go back to being a blonde and go back to being the good soldier, but it's just not part of who she really is anymore. That is part of her, but it's not who she is. She's not defined by it. She won't let it define her. And the drama between Kate and Betty, however you're going to pronounce it, that's understandable too, because she does not want Betty to become who she is. She doesn't want to continue training her. So again, this is all really strong stuff. So the big problem, though, that I do have with this particular comic and with this issue is I don't really understand what the motive is for the Weeping Lady. Is she just trying to gather sad children and kill them so that they're no longer suffering? Is there something evil about her? I'm not getting that. Of course, the DEO, they're not quite as badass as they like to think they are. But they're still pretty badass. And, the tender moments between Kate and Maggie, ultimately, these are strong character moments. So I mean, this is this is a 4.5 out of 5 stars, easy. Because it is, like I said, it's 4 stars just because of the art alone, and that's just driving it. And when it does have moments like this, the only thing that really keeps this from being a 5 out of 5 is the fact that I don't know what the motives for our villain is. So moving on. Yeah, we're doing this. This is just kind of the order that I made my notes in. So, with the exception of my comic of the week, Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.A.D.E, number 3. Jeff Lemire doing another really good job on some really unusual characters. These guys and gals, they are serious monster killers. Okay, I mean, they don't take this shit lightly. And I like how Lemire keeps the surprises coming, and he keeps the pacing really solid in this book. I don't mind the art here. Alberto Ponticelli, does some nice work here. Again, some of it feels a little rushed. It's a little sketchy, but that's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining about that. But who I would love to see actually do this title, at least like one issue of it, would be Dan Brereton. Of course, he of Nocturnals fame. Because I was just recently reading, rereading one of the Nocturnals collections that I have, and wow, that stuff is good. I mean, that's just amazing art right there, and just some of the other stuff that he did. Some of his one shots from like the late '90s. Like he did this JLA 7 Caskets thing, which is I recommend checking out if you've never seen it. Also, okay, so but that's again, not getting too much into the plot and the different events and so on and so forth. But I mean, this is a really good book. I mean, again, 4 out of 5. But just could be, if you ratcheted it up, if it was a little bit more like, if it was as good as quality as Animal Man, this would have probably been Book of the Week. But this is a lesser title overall. Not lesser. I mean, it's just different. So I don't feel as attracted to this as I do to Animal Man. So I guess that's just me. But my pick of the week ultimately goes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. This was a very difficult... I mean, this actually was a really difficult issue to read. Having to kind of relive the death of Peter Parker over again, watching those sequences. I mean, watching watching Peter die, and ultimately kind of watching him die with a smile on his face, just knowing that he was okay with the way that he died, because he saved Aunt May, he saved Mary Jane, he saved Gwen. So I mean, kind of watching, kind of rereading that, it was pretty. I mean, it wasn't easy the first time, but it was even harder now. And so what we have now, it was, Miles gets a Spider-Man, Halloween costume and puts it around, starts, trying to, fight crime. And of course, everybody just looks at him being a big copycat and so on and so forth. It was just, I mean, his whole handling of, his own characters, well, kind of his own, the creation of the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man, that he's killed him, and now someone has to step up. And of course, having Miles there at the funeral, where he takes a few moments to ask Gwen Stacy, why did he do it? And she kind of gives him the little speech about what specifically happened to him about Uncle Ben dying, and because he wanted to, with great power comes great responsibility. So, and now also, at the very end here, we've got Spider-Woman, again, one of the clones, and she swoops in with a kind of a boot to the head, as they say, and says, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And I love this line here about the head buzzing. Did the spider? Is it cancer? Did the spider give me cancer? Right before he gets kicked in the head, because he doesn't realize that that's his spider sense warning him of danger. I love the way that how Bendis is taking this time to give a new, to give a different origin, a much different origin to, this beloved character, and having it really work well. I've enjoyed every single issue of this new Ultimate Spider-Man since, it's only 4 issues old, but every single one of them has been terrific. Just been great. And I'm just so glad the way that it's working, because it is, Bendis, when he's hot, he's really, really hot. And he does some great work. And this is definitely one of those titles that, Bendis deserves to write, he needs to write, because no one else does this version of Spider-Man like he does. So that's pretty much it. Again, subscribe, like, dislike, comment, criticize, tell me what you think you need to hear, what you'd like to hear about more. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Donnelly92274. And of course, find me on Facebook, James Donnelly. It's pretty much a public profile, so anybody can come in and say hi, want to be friends. And one other thing I did want to talk about, another thing that came out this weekend, was the new Green Lantern animated series on Cartoon Network. This was fantastic. It was like watching a short Pixar film of Green Lantern. It's the quality of the animation, quality of the writing. There's some pretty heavy stuff that goes on just in the beginning of in this first episode, and introducing the Red Lanterns and Atrocitus. I was a little bummed they didn't have Dexter, because Dexter is my favorite Red Lantern. But the fact that they might keep introducing different the different spectrums, the different color spectrum rings, and what they represent. But just kind of having it all be about, having it be about Hal, but also including Kilowog and everything like that. This was just an excellent cartoon. I cannot wait until the next one. I love how they kind of are taking kind of the Bruce Timm designs, but putting it in this 3-dimensional CG world. So it's just taking, it's taking what Bruce Timm started in the early 90s and putting, 20 years later, basically putting it into, a computer-generated image. CGI. But it's just fantastic. So if you have the ability, please watch. It's great stuff. And again, thanks to all of you who do subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do check it out. Thanks to all of you who do comment, who take the time to give it a thumbs up and do say a little something here and there. Hell is for blogs. I'm mostly looking at you because you comment on pretty much all of them, because you know way more about comics than I do. So anyway, thanks again for watching and for subscribing and tuning in and taking time out of your busy day to watch me talk out of my ass about comics for a while. So have a good night, have a good day, whatever it is, whatever time of day you are watching this, and until next time, you're now leaving the Shadow Gallery. Have a good one.